I sort of followed everybody's advice, which is, once you start, once you have a family, you should settle down somewhere, and you should find a place, and you should build your life from that point. And a lot of that is good advice and really practical. Although I forgot to factor in that I'm different, and that's not me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, when I did factor in that and realize that I had this very simple revelation, which is if for some reason I can't sell my house, nothing in my life can change because of the obligations related to it.
Mm-hmm.
Which was very similar to the revelation that if you're if you're stuck if you're stuck in the business, you can't work on the business. Yeah, you can't grow a business if you're in the business. You can only grow a business if you're on the business. Which is if you're doing the everyday day-to-day activities of something,
Mm-hmm.
your your day is so fulfilled with thoughts about those tasks that you can't develop beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is true of everything. Yeah. It's expressed in business that the only way to grow a business is work on a business, not in a business. Which means that you yourself cannot be performing the daily tasks. You have to get other people to do it, persuade other people to do it, pay other people to do it, and
Yes, not micromanagement. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just
And
it's time management.
mm-hmm.
It's time, and the same principle is true for everything everywhere. It's very hard to work on the relationship when you're in the relationship because your thoughts are so connected to the the day-to-day activities. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and until we see the bigger picture, we can't allow anything to grow. And 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 so when I built my business, I realized after a period of time that I had made a mistake there, which is um, thinking that I could do everything or I could control everything and it would all work. And that's that's actually a result of some kind of megalomania where you you feel like you need to have control over everything. But the secret is that you only fully have control of yourself and you've got to let go of everything else and not worry about the results of other people's actions. Just make the best decisions you can make and move forward. And if you employ the wrong person to do the wrong job, you realize it was a mistake and that nobody can predict everything that's going to happen, and so you change and you move forward. Um, and within business, it's absolutely necessary. It's absolutely necessary to make decisions very quickly, make terrible mistakes, and move forward. Um, which um, which is not how we want to live a lot of our relationships because we want to think that and that's the contrast. The contrast is in business, you can change shit really quickly and it's a good thing a lot of the time because you still need to have a long-term plan, but you got to change to the market needs and the consumer needs, and you got to listen to your customers, and you have to be able to what they call pivot, pivot, and you have to be able to change your direction and go in another direction if you need to, um, which is basically it's a reflective philosophy, which means that when we seek to control everything, it's because we have no control of ourselves, and we believe that nobody has control, and so we can't let them have control. Yeah, this feeling that a person will have sometimes that they need to control everything around about them is because they have no control of themselves, and they project that onto other people. because I can't control myself in this situation, we believe nobody can control themselves in that situation, which is kind of ridiculous because it's a bit like saying because I can't fly a helicopter, nobody can fly a helicopter. Well, that's not true. People train
Mm-hmm.
and they work at it and they become good at it. So it's realizing that everyone's different and has different skills and different needs and things. Allowing for these opportunities to develop is what lets things fall into place naturally over periods of time. And so, what's the point? The point is, I realized that I had created a series of problems for myself, not realizing that I wouldn't really enjoy solving those problems. Those problems were not really what I was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Realizing that other people make that choice because it provides them some level of security, but my strength is being comfortable with insecurities, personally. So, what will cause other people to completely panic? Well, I
Yes.
will, yeah, it doesn't
And
bother me very much. There are still things that aren't very important, but um, yeah, so my philosophy is like you have a pack of cards and you throw them into the air and they land wherever, and it's like, well, you can't control where they land, so you just let them land wherever, and um, deal with that step by step. So I like some elements of chaos around about me. I like some elements of not knowing exactly what is going to happen, and realizing that that's in general a good thing. Like, let me give you an example.
Mhm.
We don't really know if something is good or bad till we experience it. We're wrong a lot of the time, and we have to get comfortable with those mistakes, because I think it goes back to school a lot of the time for people. When they made mistakes, there was a red X on the page or something. We were punished for our mistakes. Make too many mistakes, and you can't go to this school. You can't study this subject. And yes, it's important not to make mistakes, but we don't need to we don't need to punish people for being honest, which is like saying okay, I don't know this, right? So people learn things different rates, different speeds, different ways, and um, if people can create or carve a life for themselves that allows them the space or freedom to make certain mistakes, I think that's fine. And also realizing that um, yeah, very often we can do more by doing our own thing, but other people don't understand that.
Mhm.
So we're probably all more comfortable doing things our way, but there's a large amount of people in the world that just seem to be uncomfortable with letting other people do things their own way. Um, everybody seems.
Sorry, I'm turning.
Okay, okay. So uh, yeah, everybody to a certain extent wants to tell other people what to do or how to live their life, and there's a certain element of logic in that. We want to help people, but
Mhm.
in my experience, we can't be sure whether what we do is going to help people move them forward or hinder them, stop them from growing. And this is a principle of unintended consequences, where um, we try to do something good, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way at the end of the day. So let me give you an example. I saw this done once, and it's really good. So you do this with a class of students, right?
Mhm.
Fold the paper, and you tell them, okay, fold the paper again,
Mhm.
and if you want, fold the paper again,
Mhm.
and make some. You tell the kids. You could do it with adults. You tell the kids to make some cuts in it, right? And so you make some cuts in it. Like, I'm going to make a triangle here, or I'm going to make like another triangle there, and maybe I don't know, make a little square here, and of course, hopefully, my okay. So when I open it out, it looks like this. Now, if everybody does that in their own way when they open it out, although they have the same piece of paper and the same scissors, the images created will be different. They'll be unique. I think the beauty and uniqueness of everything is realizing that it's okay to let things be like that. It's okay to let things be different. There are some things that we will be comfortable with, some things that we will be uncomfortable with, but that's just simply that's just simply who we are, a result of our past experiences. Um, and we don't fully know all of that, all of the things that are going to happen. We just have to believe that they're going to be positive and go forward with stuff. And like like with me buying a house and rebuilding a house, this was at the beginning. I thought, well, this is kind of a dream project to try and do this, and I learned a lot from it. I learned, and I learned that people are going to put limits and borders and barriers on everything that people try to do, and it's all rubbish, right? It's all rubbish because if a person wants to pack a bag tomorrow and go and climb a mountain somewhere, obviously it helps if they prepare for it properly, um, but uh, but you have to let people do whatever it is that they need to do, um, and you have to let them explore life because it's their world and their experience. And the only basic rule is to do no harm. So as long as you're not harming anyone or anything, um, and there's a limit to that as well because you can't you know you can't survive if you're not at least picking the fruit from the tree and eating it. So try to find some level of harmony there. If it's possible. Harmony without harm is how I would describe it. And if we can do that, then there's a greater balance. And for me, the most important thing, stepping back, is this principle of pivoting, of being able to move, so
Mhm.
that so that uh, so that not everything is fixed and not everything is trapped. Because I think that's really important for the mind and the mindset. People develop a lifestyle based on patterns of thinking. And if the patterns of thinking are completely fixed, then the person's not going to grow anymore. They're not going to develop. They're not going to have the new experiences that they need to have.
Mhm.
Because everybody needs to constantly feed themselves with what they
Something.
need, yeah, so that they can grow. And usually feeding yourself is connected to new experiences. um, so that we're not just repeating the same old things again and again and again and again. And it's it's just the way we are. I think I've described this before. Is we learn something and we move on.
Mhm.
Otherwise, there's stagnation, and we life is puzzles that we seek to understand. And once we understand the puzzle, we instantly seek a new puzzle. And this is where people get trapped because they think there's just one puzzle or one problem, and they fear what is going to happen when they solve that. But when you solve it, you're just presented with another one. Yeah. if you can't fix your problem in one relationship, you are forced to move on and fix the same, similar, or even a different problem in the next relationship. It's just the way that we are. We just have to decide which problems we want to fix, or that we're
Mhm.
happy trying to fix, or living with, or working with. Um, and I see that principle in games or even books. You read the book, you finish the book, you move on to the next book. It's the way it is, right? And um, a book is like a book is like a puzzle for your imagination, where you
So when
are.
you do not know reading and you do not know what is going to
Well,
happen, you
well,
might.
well. The challenge is to think through everything. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're given a select set of information, and your challenge is to process that information in a way where either A, you're trying to understand where the author is taking you, or B, you're just enjoying the journey and imagining it as you go, and
Mhm.
realizing that the the power of appreciating the power of the writer and realizing the power of your own imagination, which is the beauty of books. And the life on a daily basis is a series of problems to solve. That's all it is. Like, what am I going to wear? What food am I going to eat? Where am I going to go? How am I going to get there? Who am I going to talk to? What am I going to say to these people? What's the next step? What's the plan? How can I? What do I have to do? What do I have to do to help myself? What do I have to do to help others?
Mhm.
It's just a series of problems that we have to solve, one after the other. And um, sometimes we need to
Mhm.
think more about it to find a solution. Sometimes we need to think. Sometimes we need not to think at all about it, because we'll just end up with the paralysis of analysis, where we think so much about something that we don't actually do anything about it. Um, which I think is the number one problem that I've experienced working with people, is that when you begin, or it's what I call overthinking is sinking. The the weight of the problem pulls you down, rather than allowing your actions to lead you somewhere. So, any time when thoughts get in the way of actions, it's important to realize the thought is getting in the way of the action, and it's ridiculous. Imagine that you have a basketball and you're trying to shoot the basketball. If you start to think about all the different parameters involved in trying to do that, and all the different infinite possibilities, then you're not going to shoot the basketball, because you're going to spend all the time trying to make it perfect. The only way to know if it's right is to shoot the basketball and then to shoot it again. And if you start to think of, if at the beginning you need some kind of form, style, technique, method, and then you try it, maybe you start like with two hands, just throwing the ball up in the air, but you uh, you work on it through experience. And it's the thought that stops most people. Or, as is confusingly said, it's the start that stops most people. Most people are stopped because they don't start. They just don't start. It's said, I've thought about this for years. Oh, well, that's just funny, right?
Mhm.
I wanted to do this for a long time. Oh, really?
Waiting
There's,
for the right moment.
yeah, it's like
Mhm.
one of my clients years ago asked me, should I apply for this job? And I'm like, why are you even asking me? Right?
Mhm.
Because either you want the job and you apply for it, or you don't want the job and you don't apply for it.
Yeah.
Asking me is just procrastinating. what do you think I should do? Well, that's just giving your responsibility to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because nothing moves until you move.
True.
Because nothing matters until you matter. And we want to give our responsibilities to other people a lot of the time. There's nothing wrong with asking for advice and seeking a little bit of direction, but we also have to realize that other people can be as wrong as we are.
Mm.
So, and we see that all the time when we try to move life forward and push things to the limit, where at the limit things break down. They don't work a lot of the time. Um, but that's okay, because that just leads to understanding, right? Where the greatest minds are in general the scientific minds, because that's just constant experimentation. Does this work? Does this not work? How does this work? Should I try? Try it constantly. The only way to solve life's problems is to constantly be creative.
Constantly.
Yeah, constantly be creative. Constantly be creative. Now, a lot of that happens naturally, but it's also important to realize that when we're not solving the problems, we're not being creative. What does it take to be creative? It just takes doing something, anything.